In this video, I'm going to show you how you can use this marks spreadsheet that I've created. So on page 0, which is getting started, it's got a little graphic here saying start on sheet 1 by adding your assessments. And then part 2, set up your grades and cutoffs on sheet 2. And then sheet 3 is where you add your students. And so I'll go through these tabs here and show you how it's done. So number 1 is the assessments. This is where you need to start. So you need to do a little bit of planning for your assessments that you're going to be running that semester or that term or that year. What I've got here is I've got 4 tests, 2 investigations, and 2 exams. And I've got my weightings for each of these, 10% for each of these, 15 for the first exam, 25% for the second exam. And each one, now these you can fill these ones out later, the possible marks. Sometimes you don't know how many marks a test is going to be until you actually create it. So you can change those later. And there's a space here for comments as well. Now, when you do all of these weightings here, you need to make sure that the total weightings add up to 100%. For example, if my test here, my exam here was only 24%, it will give a little warning here saying that, hold on, all of this only adds up to 99%. It needs to add up to 100%. So if you had more assessments here, these weightings would obviously have to go down. So make sure this little box is green because that's really, really important. There's another note here saying all input is done in the cream colored cells like the one on the left. So all the cells where you put all the information in is cream color like this. All the rest of the cells are protected so you can't change the formulas in them accidentally. Otherwise you'll break your spreadsheet. Right, once your assessments are in, you can have up to 20 of them as you can see. We'll go over to here, the grade cutoffs. Now you probably don't have to mess around with these too much. I have some basic cutoffs in here, a 13-point grading that we use at our school at this point. And so in the Australian system, we're supposed to use a 5-point system, but we do sometimes like to use a 13-point just to give the students know if they're a high A or high B or whatnot. So you basically put your numbers in here. Again, they need to go into these cream boxes and you can change your numbers in here. Make sure they are correct. For example, make sure your 90 is below the 85. You don't want to have something that's looking like this because you're going to get some really weird cutoff numbers there. So make sure it looks something like that. And if you are unsure and you're not sure, you want to reset, you can just scroll down here. You can cut and paste these numbers, my original numbers, back into here and you should be good to go. So let's take a look at our mark spreadsheet. This is where all the magic happens. As you can see, all the assessment data that I put into the assessment tab over here has been imported into this spreadsheet. And we have a whole bunch of assessments here that we didn't use because we only put 8 assessments in over here. I've put many assessments in because some teachers like to hold many assessments even though they might not be worth much. What you'll do with all these extra columns here is you just hide them. So just highlight that and then hide those and just makes it a lot easier. So over here, highlight these ones, hide those as well. And on the bottom, I've only got 16 students in this class, so I'm just going to hide these like that. And so now I've got a nice, neat little spreadsheet where we can see all our marks. So on the left-hand side, you've got all the raw marks here. And then on the right-hand side, these are all the percentages that have been calculated out from the raw marks. So you can see over here, the first assessment's out of 100 marks. So 80, 90, whatnot. And so all these would be exactly percentages. So if you've got percentages, you can put 100 in for your possible marks. And that will all calculate over here. So obviously, this person got 80 out of 100. So therefore, their percentage is also 80 out of 100. On the second test, for example, well, this is only out of 52 marks, this one here. So if this person got 49 marks, out of 52, it would calculate it out to be 94%. He got 0 for his third test, so he's got 0. You can see here, if we've got red, these ones are highlighted for students that have got underneath 50%. So that's just a flag for the teacher to see where they might need to have a chat with the student and give them a bit of assistance. Now, what's cool about this is it actually calculates your progress marks. So for example, if I get rid of these tests here, I'm just going to delete those. You can see that this student's progress is 80%. So it calculates based on the tests that you have actually already done. So if you've only done one test and this person gets 80% in that test, their progress mark is going to be 80%. And as you go across and you fill in these tests, it will add those two up and say, okay, we're out of 20 weighting so far, and it will recalculate according to how many tests you've done. So these blanks, it won't include any of these marks in their progress, but you'll still get a decent progress mark. It also assigns a grade. So it looks at this progress mark and assigns a grade based on your cutoffs that we put into this tab 2 over here, the grade cutoff tab. And you can choose whether you use the 13-point or the 5-point. You just click on here and you can choose. So you can see I've got A-, B+, all those kinds of things here. If you click onto a 5-point, you'll find that they'll just change to a straight 5-point grading system there. So that's it. I hope you enjoy using the spreadsheet. I use a spreadsheet like this at my school, which I created, and it works really well for me. So I hope that it does for you too.